G'day guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Tikka project. So, you might be asking what the bloody hell is the Tikka project. You may also know what the bloody hell the Tikka project is. Just to summarise real quick, I bought a very cheap Tikka T1X. This was $800, second hand, and we're going to turn this into a 22 PRS rifle. So, obviously I bought it without a scope. The first thing I needed to do was I needed to put on a rail. So I was going to buy something really cheap and nasty just to get a cheap and nasty scope on it so we could do the first test, but I couldn't find anything, so I thought, fuck it, I'll just buy the good rail in the first instance, which wasn't that expensive anyway, so I figured I'll just fucking go and buy it. So this Picatinny rail here is a 20 MOA rail from ATP. So that's the only mod really that we've done to it. I've got a loopholed 3-9 by 40 VX Freedom on top here. That was the really pretty cheap scope that I had on my 22 Magnum before I put another scope onto that. So I had this lying around anyway. This is kind of the scope that you will see most people stick onto a rimfire, being that this is a dedicated rimfire scope. So I feel like that's a good place to start. So the only other thing I have done to this is I lightened the trigger down from 3.5 pounds down to 1 pound. Apart from that, this is a bone stock rifle. We still have the little barrel channel maneuver doohickey thing in here, which applies a little bit of pressure to the barrel shank. So it's not exactly free floating, but Tikka put that in there because they said that that increases the accuracy. Now there's a bit of bone of contention with that online. You will see some people saying taking it out got better accuracy, some people saying leaving it in got better accuracy. I don't think it's really going to matter that much, being that it's contacting the shank and not halfway down the barrel or the muzzle, which is where most of the time contact is going to create barrel harmonic issues for you. So I think it being contacted at the shank is not really a bad thing, considering when you glass bed a rifle, that's exactly where you glass bed, is at the shank. So when someone buys a new rifle, apart from, putting a scope on it and maybe tinkering with the trigger, the first thing that pretty much every gun owner is going to do is they're going to go out to the range and they're going to fire different types of ammunition to see what is the best ammunition. So that's exactly what I've done. Now we're going to go through these groups and we're going to start at the worst ammunition and go forward to the best ammunition. So the worst one by far was this ammunition right here, which is Winchester 22 long Z, commonly referred to as Zs. So it's a 29 grain projectile going 770 feet per second, so very slow and very light, and it drops a lot. You can tell how old this box is because I'm pretty sure they don't make it in that box anymore. And I'm going to do it without ears. Holy shit. So I fired at the top target and that round has landed at the very bottom of the paper. Wow. Fucking terrible group. Can watch the round go in there, that's hilarious. That is why I always function check my mags while I'm doing accuracy testing, because you'll figure out if things don't work with your particular gun. I fired the first group. Now I'm aiming here and my group landed down here. To get this group up here, I had to aim up here. So it was a bit shit. So we had a group of 1.330, 1.618, 2.268 and 0.940. So a bit of a wild spread there. That's an average spread of 1.539 inches. So that's pretty terrible. That's at 50 meters, mind you, as well. So that ammunition is crap. That is not going to be the one that we're after. So the next ammunition is this. This is Federal 36 grain going 1260 feet per second. Obviously, that's a big mumbo jumbo box. Terrible group. So here's our groups. So we had one really good group and others were all about the same. So we had one at 1.336, 1.494, 1.620, and the really good one was a 0.597, which gave us an average of 1.261. So that one group was really, really good. I don't know why that one shot really good and everything else was shit. Maybe I'm terrible 3 times out of 4. Then we fired CCI 32 grain, which is going 1640 feet per second. That's the fastest of the bunch. You can tell how old this box is. It was bought from Cleaver Firearms for $11.10. So I don't actually have that many rounds of this one. And in an older 22, this shot a bit shit. So I have 10 rounds of that. So this will be 2 groups instead of 4 groups, but you've got to do what you've got to do, I guess. Yeah, that stuff ain't great. We had one group of 1.194. Now there is a flyer off to the left there, so potentially that was me that made that bigger. If we remove that, you're looking at about a 0.7 group. And the other group was a 0.818, gives us an average of 1 inch, so 1.006. So 6th thou over an inch, that's not bad. Generally speaking, the faster velocities aren't really the best out of 22s. Usually the slower the better, but yeah, there you go. So that one wasn't too bad, middle of the pack. So the next best is good old CCI standard, which is going 1070 feet per second. So the biggest group out of that is 1.028. Once again, there is one flyer off to the right, which could have been me. One of the other groups is 0.804. We have a 0.704 and a 0.437. So that actually shot really well and was very similar to the one that technically won by average. If you drop that flyer off this, then this would actually win the competition. That leads us on to the one that won. The one that won. Yes, good English. Federal 40 grain going 1240 feet per second. So we have all of our groups are sub 1 inch. We have a 0.837, 0.824, 0.823, and 0.427 for an average of 0.727. So when we do the next test, I will test CCI standard and Federal 40 grain again, just to double check that, because some of that may have been me. As I said before, if I drop that other round, let me recalculate that one real quick. If I drop that round that I'm pretty sure that I pulled, it makes that group 0.484. So if I redo the average, it makes the average 0.607. So I'm definitely gonna be checking CCI standard again. That may be our winner. Fuck me. So I will be checking CCI standard again. That may be actually our winner for this gun, and that may have just been a shit shot on my behalf. However, as you can see, this gun is actually really accurate. So considering we've just fired 5 different types of ammunition and every single one of them, including the worst one, was an inch and a half and under. You take away the Winchester Zs, because they are dog shit. Everything was 1.2 and under. We haven't even gone down the rabbit hole of looking at RWS, Ely, Lapua, or Lapua if you're American. So we haven't really gone into actual target 22 ammunition. This is just, you know, the cheap off the shelf shit. I think this is going to be an excellent build. The thing that that has been voted on to do next is going to be to change the scope. I have the Falcon Endura 3.5 to 25 ready to go onto this gun. I'm just waiting on a set of MDT 34 more rings to rock up in the mail. I found them on Facebook for quite cheap, so thanks to that bloke. So what we'll do is that scope will go on and everything else about that gun will stay stock exactly how it is. We're going to reshoot the Federal 40 grains and the CCI standards with that new scope. Now we're going to discount all the rest of that ammunition because otherwise I'm going to be firing 5 different types of bloody ammunition every time. I really just want to find one ammunition and then we're going to stick with that because we need that to benchmark accuracy gains across the board. So we'll fire 2 more ammunition types when we change the scope. Out of that next test, that will become the ammunition we fire out of this gun until way down the track when we rebarrel it. So yeah, that's the first installment. I really, really hope you got something out of that. If you want to be part of this build where you get to vote on what happens in the progression of chasing accuracy, jump onto Patreon, link in the description below, and you can be a part of this build. Now over there on Patreon, what we're doing is essentially I propose different changes. So for this one, there was options to change the, so the first thing you're going to change if you're chasing accuracy is going to be change the scope. I think we had changed the stock, change the trigger, or modify the existing stock. Out of that, the patrons voted and changing the scope was the first change they wanted to see. So that's the next video we're going to do. After that, we will do another vote. So obviously we've changed the scope, so that loses as an option. So then we can either, you know, change the trigger, we can change the stock / put a chassis on it. You know, there are many, many options out there. And so you can be a part of this build and you can vote and, you know, build a bit of a bloody community. It's pretty bloody good. So yeah, I hope you got something out of that video. I hope that was somewhat informative. As I said, if you want to be part of it, jump in, link in the description below. It costs you $3. Just, it's $3. $3 a month to you. That's not even a fucking coffee. Anyway, I will see you next video and hooroo.